Are you wondering how you can have a super smooth transition to Panama? Then keep watching. Hello everyone, my name is Mariana and you are watching Panama Relocation Tours TV. In today's video, I'm going to explain the 9 biggest mistakes that new expats make when moving to Panama. That way you can avoid them and have a much smoother transition to your new country. So let's jump right in. Number 1, relying on people in expat forums or groups for advice on moving to Panama. Moving to a foreign country is a whole new experience for many people, and living in Panama isn't living like in the US, or it isn't like living in Canada or Europe. Some things are done very differently, and Facebook is great for building a social network, as TripAdvisor is really great for looking for recommendations for hotels. However, if you're planning your move to Panama, you probably don't want to rely on only those 2 sources for information. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying you're not going to find great tips from people who have actually moved to Panama on these expat forums. You just have to be aware that you don't know who the person posting really is. Many people posting information about moving to Panama are new to Panama, so they aren't really a reliable source either. Some people even post on these expat forums claiming to be the Panama expert when they don't actually even live in Panama. So you just really don't know who the person posting really is. You'll also get a lot of conflicting information on these expat forums, which will confuse you even further, and you could base some of your super important decisions about moving to Panama on ill information. Tip number 2. Becoming too friendly with Panamanians and other expats too soon. Panamanians and expats are very friendly people, and we're not suggesting that you not become friends with them. In fact, it's really fun to meet with them at restaurants, bars, maybe a charity event. We're only advising that you should be cautious and probably not invite somebody over to your home until you get to know them really well. You should also try to avoid sharing too much personal information. Things like what your monthly income is, how much your pension is, what your real estate budget is. A lot of people have a hidden agenda. You never know who's going to try to become your friend just to find out exactly how much money you have so they can tell a real estate friend about you, or maybe somebody else who has an agenda. And sadly, even at church, we've seen this. Some people go to church to make friends with people they think have money, just to turn on their sob story and try to extract as much money from you as possible. So sadly, yes, we've heard of these things happening. Just be aware, and also stay away from anyone who claims to have a special way of you hiding your money from your government. Tip number 3, don't rush into buying real estate too fast. We tell our Panama Relocation Tours customers to rent for at least 6 to 12 months before they even think about buying real estate. And there's a few reasons why you'll want to consider this too. First of all, you should really live in Panama and determine if you like living in Panama. Do you like Panamanian culture? Do you like everything about your environment? Do you like the way things are done here? Number 2, you should probably really wait until you have your residency visa before buying any real estate. And then also, you should spend some time in different neighborhoods. Some areas have a lot of rain, some areas have a lot of water problems, other areas do not. Panama has a lot of different microclimates. So even in a single neighborhood, just a few miles away, a house could be colder and one area could be drier than the other in the same town. Some areas have really great internet, some areas do not. And if you do end up buying real estate in Panama, always use a real estate attorney. He or she is going to write up your contract for you. They're going to do a title search. They're going to make sure that everything is perfectly good for you to buy that home. Because you may not know this, a lot of houses in Panama are what is known as right of possession, or ROP, which means that that home could be disputed in court and you could end up losing your property. And as a matter of fact, a lot of rentals in Panama are much cheaper than buying a house. So go ahead and rent in a certain area you like for 1 to 2 months just to check it out and make sure that you really do like that area before jumping into anything. Tip number 4, don't move to Panama without visiting first. Okay, this one is a biggie. We see people move to Panama without ever coming first, and they almost always end up leaving within 6 months. And it's no surprise, right? Like they had no idea what they were getting themselves into. And if you're married, it's a really good idea that both of you visit Panama before moving to Panama. Go ahead and spend some time in different neighborhoods, check out different areas around different cities. Just make sure that you really vet the country before you end up moving here. Tip number 5, don't get involved with too many things too fast. You're going to be very tempted when you move to Panama to join every charity, every cooking class, every hiking group. There's a lot of activities here. And it's a great way to meet other expats and local Panamanians too. But you may end up finding out that at the end of the week you're just exhausted and you didn't really give yourself any time to explore your area. So give yourself time to get settled into your new home and explore your new town before you get involved with too many activities. Allow yourself to just sit on your porch, drink your coffee or your wine. Now, please don't misunderstand me. I'm not suggesting that you become a couch potato either. In fact, I do encourage you to go out and explore your area, which brings me to my very next point. Tip number 6, don't sit at home just watching TV. Okay, we can all agree that politics have made people gone mad, right? Like we sit glued to the TV waiting to see what's going to happen next. But hey, there's nothing you can do about it from Panama, right? So turn off the TV, especially the news, and go out and explore your new town. Take up that hobby that you've always wanted to take up. It might be dancing, might be cooking, might be gardening, might be learning Spanish. And what a better time to learn Spanish, right? So just turn off the news and go out and explore. And get to know people in your town. In fact, building relationships and having a sense of community is going to be a major reason why you love living where you live. Tip number 7, don't expect Panamanians to speak perfect English. Some Panamanians do speak very good English and a lot of them do not. And it's really not their fault, right? We're living in their country. So you should really take it upon yourself to learn some Spanish. Just a little Spanish and a big smile really go a long way in Panama. I've seen this a lot of times at grocery stores or, other different public spaces where I've seen people that don't speak Spanish struggling, and Panamanians are very patient, even if you try just a little bit. And in today's world, there are so many apps that are free. There's so many online courses that you can take at your own time. There's an app called Duolingo, and it teaches you just a few Spanish words every day for free. So go ahead and look up things like that you can do on your own to learn just a little bit of Spanish. But the most important thing here is not to get frustrated with Panamanians who don't speak English. Tip number 8, don't get the wrong visa or plan to do border hops. If you're going to live in Panama, get a residency visa. The pensionado visa is ideal if you plan to be retired. And the key word there is truly retired, because with the pensionado visa, you cannot work, not even part-time. You can't sell a service, you can't sell a product in Panama. And there's really no reason for you not to get a visa if you're going to be living in Panama, right? Nothing upsets Panamanians more than foreigners who end up living in Panama for an extended period of time and never become residents. Now, regarding border hops, you'll probably hear on different expat forums or from other expats that you talk to that it's easy to do a border run to Costa Rica and get another 6-month stamp on your passport whenever you're coming up on your expiration. Don't do it. The Panamanian authorities are really cracking down on this, and it's just not worth the risk. In fact, the Panamanian authorities have officially stated that any foreigner who goes to Costa Rica to do a border run will be denied entry back into Panama. So it's just not worth it. What if you have pets in Panama? What if you have kids in Panama? What if you have all your personal belongings in Panama and you're just not able to go get them? Like, is it worth the risk to you? So definitely don't take this bad advice. And our final tip, number 9, don't start a business too soon. Instead of starting a business right away, it's better to move to Panama and do a lot of market research to determine if the product or service is really needed in this country. And you should also determine other things like what your pricing structure should be. The business you have in your home country might not work well in Panama. And if you do decide you want to open a business in Panama, you need to consult with an attorney. They'll make sure that you can legally run and operate this business in Panama. You'll need to set up things like a corporation, get an RUC number, which is a Panama tax ID number, hire an accountant, set up a business bank account, and maybe even get a merchant account so you can accept credit cards or debit cards. And depending on your business, you might need to get other licenses and registrations. Now, keep in mind that some professions in Panama are reserved for Panamanians only, and Panamanians born in Panama. So foreigners are not allowed to practice certain professions like law, accounting, nursing, teaching, and even cosmetology. The list is very long. These are only a few of the professions that foreigners are not allowed to practice in Panama, but just know that the right attorney will help you assess if the business that you were thinking about opening in Panama can legally run in Panama. So there you have it, the 9 most common mistakes new expats make in Panama and how you can avoid them when you move to Panama. Let me know in the comments down below what other topics you think would be valuable for us to share. What other useful tips do you want on living in Panama? I'm going to include in the description box down below a link to our Panama Relocation Guide. If you're interested or want to move to Panama and need to know things like what visa is right for you, how to bring your pet into Panama, how to hire an immigration attorney, how to hire a real estate attorney, and who those attorneys are, like how do you get their contact information. The Panama Relocation Guide has information to that and everything else you need to know about moving to Panama the right way. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.